Huge news out of Tesla this week as they announced the launch of their new 3-phase Tesla Powerwall system. Now this is a system that a lot of people have been waiting for, so in this video I'm going to explain to you what does it mean, why is it such a big deal. Let's get into it. So one of the biggest bugbears that a lot of people have had with the Tesla Powerwall system for a long time is there is no 3-phase option. What that means is that for people with 3-phase supplies, they've had to install 3 separate Powerwalls, one on each phase, and even then, the backup has only ever worked on 1 phase, meaning that if you've got a 3-phase supply to your home and you've got a Tesla backup gateway, you would have to choose which phase you wanted to be backed up, and you'd lose the other 2 phases in a power cut, essentially kind of rendering their whole house backup kind of irrelevant. Of course, you could juggle things around and try and get all of the most important circuits on one particular phase, but that doesn't always work in practice. So it left a lot of homeowners with a premium Tesla Powerwall system that just didn't quite cut the mustard. Well, this week, this announcement means that that's all going to change, because on LinkedIn, I saw an announcement from one of the Tesla employees saying that they are announcing the launch of the Tesla Powerwall 3P. The 3P stands for 3-phase. Now, the initial launch seems to be happening in Germany, so they're gearing up their German installers to get ready to be able to fit these systems. And presumably there'll be some kind of training involved to be able to get existing Tesla approved installers fitting these new 3-phase systems. Why Germany? Well, probably because many properties in Germany, many of the houses in Germany have 3-phase supplies as standard. Obviously here in the UK, it is more unusual for a house to have a 3-phase supply, but my gut feeling is that this product will be coming to the UK fairly soon. So what does this mean for you if you are in the UK and you've got a 3-phase supply to your property? Well, what it means is finally you've got the option to have a 3-phase Tesla Powerwall. Now, we don't know all the details yet from a technical perspective, but what I did see is that they have confirmed it will provide 3-phase backup, which is one of the key things that a lot of people felt was missing from the Tesla Powerwall product line. So that 3-phase backup is really going to be helpful for people who've got a big property that they want to back up entirely from their battery system and they want the Tesla system. The other advantage of having a 3-phase system is going to be the phase balancing. Now, before having 3 single-phase batteries, one on each phase, there's always going to be some kind of efficiency loss with having 3 separate batteries on 3 separate phases. Having one 3-phase battery that can adapt to whatever's going on across all 3 phases is naturally going to be more efficient and just a better system because it's designed to work with 3-phase from the ground up. So it's going to be really interesting to see what this product looks like. The little image that they revealed on LinkedIn looked identical to the current Tesla Powerwall 3. And in my opinion, that's probably likely is that it will be the same product in terms of form factor, but maybe just with 3-phase connections rather than a single-phase connection for the AC supply. That will probably mean that the inverter capacities will be flexible like with the existing Tesla Powerwall 3 single-phase system, where you can actually digitally set the inverter to whatever size you need from 3 kilowatt all the way up to 11.05 kilowatt, depending on the maximum draw in your house. But what will be interesting to see is whether they increase that inverter capacity to maybe 12, 15, 25 kilowatts. That would be fascinating to see, because obviously most people who've got a 3-phase supply to their house, they're going to be drawing a lot of power and they're going to potentially need that higher capacity when it comes to the inverter. Now, they've also confirmed that from a battery capacity standpoint, it is an expandable system. And again, that makes complete sense. To be able to add the DC expansion packs like you currently can with the Tesla Powerwall 3 is a no-brainer if you're going to have a 3-phase version of the Powerwall 3. And I would imagine that that's going to work exactly the same as it currently does with these DC expansion packs that just bolt on to the side or the front of the main Powerwall unit. So it might be that you have one main Tesla Powerwall 3 unit, which has, say, a 15 kilowatt inverter in it. And then if you want more than 13.5 kilowatt hours of storage capacity, you bolt on more DC expansion packs to that unit. The other thing that we don't know is whether you'll be able to string multiple main Powerwall units up to one gateway. Currently with the Powerwall 3 single phase systems, you can connect up to 3 main Powerwall units, and then off each of those you can connect up to 3 DC expansions. So it might be that that scalability principle is the same, but obviously on a 3-phase setup, the overall capacity in terms of inverters is going to be even higher. So the question you might want to know is, well, what is the benefit of having a 3-phase battery system versus a single-phase one? And to put it simply, it's all about capacity. So for most people who've got a 3-phase supply to the property, it's because they're going to be using more power. And a single phase battery system, like we've seen with the Tesla Powerwall 3 or even the 2 before that, or some of the other systems that we fit, generally the inverter capacity is quite limited. So with the Tesla Powerwall 3 single phase at the moment, maximum discharge rate is 11.05 kilowatts if you set that inverter to the highest possible setting. The charge rate is actually 5 kilowatts, or 7 kilowatts if you add the DC expansion packs. Whereas if you need more power, because potentially you're using a ton of power in your home, the only way to actually benefit from more power from a battery system is to go down the 3-phase route. For example, you might see the systems that we fit quite often, the 𝐒𝐮 Energy systems, they do a 25 kilowatt inverter, and that allows you to charge and discharge the batteries at 25 kilowatts, which for many homes is sufficient to cover a lot of their loads. But you can actually double that up and go with a second stack of batteries, so a second 25 kilowatt inverter, for a potential 50 kilowatts of charge and discharge from your batteries. And if you're on a 100 amp 3-phase supply, usually that's more than enough. Although we did recently fit a system where we fitted 4 stacks of 𝐒𝐮 Energy batteries with 4 15 kilowatt inverters. That gave a total capacity of 60 kilowatts in terms of the charge and discharge rate of the batteries, and a whopping 200 kilowatt hours of battery storage capacity. So you can see what the benefits are of having a 3-phase battery system. It opens up for people with large energy demand, maybe 3-phase heat pumps, 3-phase motors, all of that stuff, to have more power from their battery system, which is often what is needed to cover your house usage during the day by charging up the batteries on the cheap rate overnight and save money, or by charging up those batteries on excess solar energy that you might have from your solar array and being able to pump that into your house. The limitation with single phase systems has always been the inverter. With a 11 kilowatt from a Tesla or a 12 kilowatt from a 𝐒𝐮 Energy, you can't get much higher than that with single phase, and that's where you need to go to 3-phase if you want even more power. The other disadvantage of having 3 single phase Powerwalls, 1 on each phase, is that you don't always know how much power you're actually using on each phase. It could be that one phase is very heavily loaded and the other 2 phases are barely doing anything, in which case you're going to find one Powerwall drains down really quickly and the other 2 stay full most of the time, and the capacity is kind of wasted. With a 3-phase system, that capacity is shared across all 3 phases as and when each phase needs it, and you get way better usage out of your battery system. The other crucial element to all of this is the backup power, because to have an all bells and whistles system like Tesla, you know, is a premium product, but for it to only back up 1 out of the 3 phases just seems crazy. So for them to release a 3-phase Powerwall now, and presumably that'll link in with a 3-phase gateway, but we'll have to wait and see, will enable customers with 3-phase supplies to have seamless backup across all 3 phases in their property, so that rather than just losing 2 phases when you have a power cut, you're not going to notice that power cut. It's just going to switch over instantaneously for all 3 phases and back up the entire property. And the other interesting element to this too is that suddenly this opens up Powerwall 3 for a commercial setting too. So you think of most businesses, for example, like Artisan HQ here, we've got a 3-phase supply. Most businesses do. You've got a 3-phase 100 amp supply, or maybe even bigger. And so you need a 3-phase battery storage system. And in the past, because Tesla only made a single phase system, it's basically counted them out completely from the commercial and industrial market. But now, suddenly, there's a product that can fit with that commercial industrial market if Tesla are releasing a 3-phase battery system. It opens up a whole new market for them to be able to reach businesses, to be able to provide backup power for businesses. And I think that's a really clever decision from Tesla, is to enable that market, because there are so many people out there who love Tesla products and would love to fit them in their home or business, but just can't because of the lack of that 3-phase product. So it's going to be interesting to see how soon they release this in the UK. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on one, and I'd love to know all of your thoughts in the comments below. Could you benefit from a system like this for your home or business? So stay tuned and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, because we will be sure to be one of the first to get our hands on one of these units and showcase it here on the channel with a real world install. And if you have liked this video and you can think of somebody else who might benefit from it, why not hit that share button and share it out with all your contacts.